Why is the fandom so torn between either loving or hating 911's 915 Pick Your Poison? Is it justified or unjustified? Well, grab a glass, let's sit back, and let's rewind the episode together. Cheers. Okay, so how this whole show is going to go about, I'm going to talk about the episode, each storyline, kind of go through it really fast so that we can kind of understand what's going on. If you haven't watched the episode, why are you watching this? It's going to be full of spoilers. I'm telling you that now. And then I'm going to go into my pros and cons about the episode. And lastly, I'm going to rate it. And everything that I'm doing today is full on opinions based. So if you don't agree, well, tell me in the comments why you don't agree. But let's get into it. So there are about 3 storylines that are happening in this episode. One that we knew for sure that was going to be carrying over from 914's DIY was Buck's dependency storyline. But we didn't know what he was dependent on. We just knew that he was taking some pills, but we couldn't really read the bottle. Somebody saw one that started with a T. I don't know medications well, but they said it was an opioid. And even before that, I kind of figured that he might be taking opioids of some sort. I actually said it to Ryan Guzman in person in Chicago, and he said that I was kind of close. So I found out what I was close about, which is opioids, because I said that, like, he just got out of a car accident. He's dealing with all this traumatic stuff, still dealing with the grief of Bobby and not really dealing with it well, that it could lead to an opioid dependency. And then I thought he was also going to take anxiety meds, but it wasn't that either. It was just the opioids, which we then learn. And then with Buck's dependency, he's been jumping from doctor to doctor to doctor to take these opioids until one doctor's like, boy, you went to 5 already. I ain't giving you anything more. And he's like, well, fuck. So then he's like, I gotta get off these. I'm not dependent. I could be good. And then he's going through mad withdrawals while he's on the job, which people are like, nobody noticed. Bitch, Hen clocked it. Then Eddie clocked it. But then Eddie wants to believe Buck, and that didn't work out because he wanted to go to Buck. I mean, Buck wanted to go to Eddie to get help, but he sees Eddie putting drugs away because of course it's perfect timing. He's putting the drugs away. While he's putting the drugs away, he's like, you want to talk about trucks? And then that happens and everything. Says that it's food poisoning. And then he realizes when he's about to steal his drugs from the rig, he's like, well, fuck. This is not okay. Oliver Stark just needs his awards in general because that was absolutely beautiful. His acting this whole episode was absolutely beautifully well done, in my opinion. Like, holy motherfucking shit, bro. But he has this conversation. He tells Chimney, please fire me. I was going to steal from the ambulance. I was going to steal medication. And then they have this serious conversation. And instead of firing Buck, he does let him go for the day. But he's like, we're going to work through this together. I'm not surprised either when this was happening. This is a year after Bobby's death. Buck was like, I kind of pushed that away. And he's like, grief does funny things. And they have that beautiful moment. And then it leads to Buck being at home, everybody taking care of him. Them going through his house to make sure he doesn't have anything hidden around the place, any secret stashes, so that they can truly help Buck get back to who he was. And that whole montage, too, was absolutely beautifully well done. I just also love the moment of, like, Buck and Christopher having a conversation together and just showing how, like, mature Chris is because he's not a kid anymore. He is a teenager. He can kind of understand what is going on, which I find is just really, really adorable too. And the whole line of, like, do you trust yourself? And he's like, I really don't trust myself, which is why I'm having my family go through my stuff for me to make sure that I don't do anything that I would regret in the future. Then we have the next storyline, which is Athena's murder mystery, which this guy comes into the precinct and goes like, I am here to report a murder, and he's like, whose? And he's like, mine. And then he does a bleh, and just a red painting all over Athena's desk, because of course that's going to happen to Athena Grant. Then a detective gets in. The detective doesn't really want to work with Athena, and Athena's like, nah, we're going to work on this together. They go talk to the son of the father, and then they realize that the father is an investigative journalist in which he left his family while his mother/wife was going through cancer to get on through all these stories, and that's why he thinks he got poisoned, was because of a case gone too far, and he wants Athena because he was going to write a story on Athena from the season 8 opener for landing the plane and being a hero, but Athena wanted to be anonymous, and realizing that she's too noble to do anything that could put his case in jeopardy. And then we find out, like, oh, maybe it was from this one billionaire with this, like, apartment building complex thingy. And then, like, the detective's like, well, I'm gonna do this myself, you did enough. And he's like, oh, you're trying to save your buddy's ass because your kid's going to the school, you know. But then, oh my god, plot twist, it was the son. The son is a science teacher. He made the poison that was 100% fatality and killed his own father. So yeah. Okay, next storyline. Next storyline is May, Robbie, and Ian. Okay. Basically, he comes in with May at the fire station saying they're going to go out for dinner or lunch, whatever. And Robbie's like, oh, there's another guy. oh, fuck. And Harry goes, weren't you dating my sister? And he goes, well, and he's like, what did you do? I didn't call May back because you said if I dated May, I would have to go to another fire station. And Harry's like, you dumbass. I was just riffing on you. You could date my sister. And then Robbie's like, ooh, I fucked up. And then it leads to this whole thing. They go into the gym. Hen finds out about May and Robbie. Then Eddie finds out about May and Robbie. Then later on, they realize, oh, by the way, they tell him that he's a fucking jackass. He should have called. He's not being chivalrous. All that kind of stuff. But then they go to a hospital that's really, really backed up in the ER. So many fire stations are just kind of stuck there with patients. And Ian's one of those guys that works there. And then Robbie's like, oh, fun. This day just loves me more and more. And then Ian just goes full on Flash style, running out of the ER to go save a kid. And then Robbie's like, well, fuck. Ex-NFL player, he's hot, he's nice, he saves kids. What the fuck do I got? And that leads to that. But then later on in the episode, May finally tells Robbie when they're at Buck's place, like, I'm not dating Ian. What the fuck? I was just talking with him because I want to become a nurse because we found out that her being a lawyer was not going to be a good thing. And Robbie's like, oh my God, you would be an amazing nurse. And they have a cute little moment. And I think that's really much of the episode. Cheers to that. I went through that pretty fast. I'm pretty proud of myself on that one, to be honest. Okay, let's go into the pros and cons of the episode. And here's the thing. These are my opinions. If you don't agree, that is okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. But my opinions stand here. So let's go into the pros first. To be honest, I was very, very, very happy to see where Buck's storyline was going. I've been in other fandoms, other shows, and anytime I see anything with drugs, I'm always expected for the worst of the worst when it comes to angst and seeing an OD of some sort. So instead, seeing Buck really trying hard to get off these drugs, but realizing he can't do it alone and he can't keep lying to people anymore, that there was nothing wrong with him, that there is something, and then he goes to Chimney to tell him to fire him because he was about to steal and that he's not okay, was absolutely beautifully well done. Like I said, give Oliver Stark all the awards for it because that was absolutely amazing acting on his part. Holy motherfucking goddamn Jesus. Kenny was not lying in Chicago. But it was absolutely well done, and I'm truly happy to see the mature and growth because I think Buck knows too that this could go down a slippery slope with how Bobby was in his past, and he doesn't want to do the same thing. And I don't think Bobby wants him to do the same thing. Actually, I know Bobby doesn't want him to do the same thing. So it was just really, really nice to see, like, him take charge and be mature to know that this was not okay and that he needs to do something to be better. So I truly did enjoy that part. I also enjoyed just the whole montage through the end. Of course, I love my buddy moments. So I love the idea of Eddie and Buck talking with each other and like the chain of command coming back. That was really, really cute. Beyond that, I love the 118 coming together to be there for Buck, whether it's sit by his bedside, whether it's playing charades, whether it's cooking him healthy meals, whether it's just having the slumber party. That was so cute. It was literally like a sliver of the montage moment, but it was the most cutest thing to see all the adults sitting down on the floor, sleeping together, feet to head kind of thing. But where are your kids? Where's Chris? Where's Denny? Where's Mara? Where's Gian? Where's Robert? Who's watching him? Is Peppa watching them all? Tony? Goddamn, putting these grandparents through like fucking hell and back. Well, Tia Peppa. She's technically Christopher's grand aunt, but like, you know what I mean? Like, goddamn, where are the kids? Well, I guess maybe May's watching them. But if May's there, May is a good, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. That was like one of my first thoughts was like, oh, wait, where are the kids? Where are your kids at? But the montage part was so cute. And then another part that I thought was really, really funny that really brought the 118 together was the gym scene. Just seeing like the trickle effect of like, you can't keep anything a secret with the 118. If you are part of the family, you are part of the family, and everybody will find about all your mistakes and all your fuck ups, whether it's bad or funny. And in this case, it was funny because Hen's just like, boy, you fucked up. And then Eddie was like, boy, you god damn. Sorry, I fucking love that part where he goes damn because, totally a straight guy thing to do. You know, like, it's totally normal for a guy who's straight, who only says he's straight and doesn't like men and definitely doesn't run away her own, to, you know, say damn when he sees a guy who is, I don't even remember if he's shirtless in that scene or not, but his muscles are rippling, his sweat is glistening, he is lifting hard. It is so normal for a guy to say damn. Am I done? Can I be done now? Can I be done? But I really love that part because it really just shows how the 118 is a family, from the funny aspect to the serious aspects of it all. Now the cons. Yeah, boy, we got to get into the cons. And these cons are kind of broad, so I'm sorry about that in advance. First, let's start with Buck, and that is, I fear the dependency storyline was cut way too short. It felt like it was jibbed out of way too much. And before we get into it, I'm not talking about I want to keep seeing him throw up in a toilet. I'm not saying that. I do think that we saw enough of the traumatic stuff for a lot of people who may be watching the show, maybe didn't want to see at all, but it tells the story enough. But I would have loved a little bit more in the sense of who told the rest of the 118? Was it Chimney? Was it Buck? Was it them together? Was Buck just there, but Chimney was the one to say it because Buck didn't know how to say it? Was it like what? Did Hen and Eddie talk about it at all? Because I feel like Hen did clock Buck's ass, but like Eddie was like it was food poisoning, and Hen's like, well, you don't get irritated when you're that like much on food poisoning. Like it feels like it's something else. And those two could have talked about it a bit more. I would have loved to seen that. There was just a lot of scenes that I feel like happened behind the scenes that I would have loved to seen happen on camera. And I'll talk about this in one of my other cons, but that's what I would love to have seen. Now, I don't want to give it too much of a harsh rating because I truly do think we could get a little bit more from the storyline in 9/16 where there's smoke. And not to get too much into it because I'll talk about it later, but Buck was brought up in the synopsis about him still trying to get back to the 118 and recover. So maybe we're going to get a little bit more of this still like storyline of him having to try to, get better, get beyond his dependency on opioids and through this recovery. That's the word, recovery, that we may not see it until 9/16. So I digress. Now, to add into that, the only other thing is that I felt like that storyline was short, and I feel like this one was too long, which was the Athena storyline. This is not me hating on Athena Grant, because I know a lot of people hate on Athena Grant for some fucking reason, or Angela Bassett as general. Like, she deserves her screen time because she's a fabulous actress. It is just I don't like the storylines that he give her. Truly, I felt like this storyline was out of place for what was going on with the seriousness of Buck's storyline. I also felt like it was too long to take up from main character storylines for this whole dad and father situation going on to be taking up like half the episode. And then on top of that, it was predictable. Now, I'm not going to say like I knew from the beginning it was the dad, it was the son. But what I did know was that right after they said, oh, is this billionaire kind of person? Oh, the detective's going to cover it. And then the real like red alarm above my head was that Athena was going to give up. She was going to give up. She was telling the dad who's in the hospital bed that she was going to give up. That's not Athena Grant. That's not Athena Grant. So that's when I knew, okay, it had to be somebody else. Well, the son really did hate his father. Like, maybe it could have been the son. We haven't seen anybody else that could have been motive for this killing. It's probably the son. Because they didn't even show really anybody else. They didn't really, like, talk to anybody else. So it was pretty obvious. So when it was, I wasn't, like, shocked. I was just like, oh, so they really did go that route. And that's it. And like I said, if I wanted an Athena storyline, give me something like Space, where it is an emergency, but it's rooted in something that's going on with Athena's own struggles, Athena's own storyline. This one just felt like Athena's a cop, she's taking this call, and it keeps going on through this call. It's not Athena, it's her being a cop, which is when I get annoyed. If I want an Athena storyline, I want it to be about Athena and her struggles or her woes or whatever is going on in her life. I want it to be about Athena, not her being a cop. Does that make sense? Like, give me the Athena storylines, but not these kind of Athena storylines. And lastly, this is not me hating on May Robbie, but we could have not done with the jealousy storyline. We could also make a storyline for May where it's not centered around a man. Just saying, whether it's Robbie, whether it's Harry, whether it's Ian, like we could just have a May storyline being May, which we kind of got last episode, but then I got immediately switched over to her talking to a guy being like, hey, how do you become a nurse? So hopefully that gets moved on past something else. But also what I also didn't like is that like it just came out of nowhere that they weren't talking anymore. Robbie goes to this jealousy because he's a man who fucks up, because that's pretty predictable, to be honest. Let's be fucking for real, he's a straight man. And then it just gets made up all in the end because she tells Robbie, I'm not dating this guy. I just was talking to him about becoming a nurse. And Robbie's like, oh, that's cool. I clearly see you could be a nurse. And then they kind of flirt. And then they cut out the May Robbie kiss. And if you didn't know, yes, there was a still of those two kissing, and they cut out the first ever May Robbie kiss. You motherfuckers. Well, it's not canon, but still, because it's now just part of the post still, so it's not technically canon that it happened. But you motherfuckers. You give us all that, and you don't even give us the kiss? Well, I do think it was good to not have the kiss, but to have the option of the kiss icks me in some way. I don't know why, but like, I don't want this to be the route for May Robbie. I want them to be mature. I want them to have a good relationship. And I want May to be an empowering woman who doesn't always need a man by her side. Like, goddamn, just let her be. Like, 914 did a good job at that, but still. But those are most of my gripes when it comes to the cons. So last thing, is my rating. Drum roll, please. My rating for 9:15 Pick Your Poison is a 6 out of 10. As of right now. And the reason why I'm saying as of right now is that I feel like it could go up to a 7 out of 10 depending on where 916 is going, aka where there's smoke. If you don't know what's happening, I don't know the synopsis off the top of my head, but basically it's somewhere along the lines where they go to a call, they say it's so safe for this woman to go back to her house, and she ends up dying due to a fire in her house that causes a legal case against the 118, a literal revolt protest against firefighters, against the 118 for not doing their job to their fullest and not keeping their citizens safe. And what we know from that is that they're going to be going through that legal process, that whole detriment of that, and then Buck is going to be fighting his way to get back to the 118 and to get back to be healthy, but he's also going to be there as emotional support, moral support for the 118 going through this case. That's what we know so far. And the reason why I think that this could go up to a 7 out of 10 is how they handle Buck's storyline in 916. Are we still going to talk about his dependency? Is he going to have a bit more serious talks, like sit-down talks with either Maddie or Eddie or Chimney? Maybe they're going to talk about their own personal feelings and how they felt and how they were scared or whatever it may be. Or hell, are we actually going to get that fucking Eddie and Maddie scene in 916 that you guys talked about in an interview and we still haven't really gotten yet? Are we going to be getting that? I don't know. So this is why I'm giving this a 6 out of 10, and it has room for improvement to be up to a 7 out of 10. But that is my rating. Now, you guys watching right now, I want to hear your guys' rating. What do you guys think about this? And not only just give me your rating out of 10, tell me why it is that out of 10. So tell me that in the comments below. I would love to talk with y'all because I love talking about 911, and if you give me any reason to talk about 911, I'm going to talk about it. So tell me what you guys think about the episode. As you know, you guys, if you want to watch more of my videos, you guys can definitely subscribe. Hit that bell icon because I don't know the schedule yet for my YouTube videos. I'm kind of just going as I can get these out. You know, I am human with a job. This is not my job. So we'll see what happens. But definitely ring that bell icon if you guys want to be notified when I do post. And yeah, I will be making these not just for 911, but I will plan on making these for The Rookie, High Potential, The Pit, whatever else is out there that I decide to watch. I'll be making videos for those shows too. And if you want to support me outside of this and get exclusive content made by me, you guys can also subscribe to my Patreon. On there, you'll be able to see episodes a day early along with ad-free. We all love ads. We all love not watching ads. So you get them ad-free along with exclusive content like unedited videos of me reacting to episodes, exclusive live streams, other perks that I'm still working on. But yeah, make sure you go subscribe to my Patreon if you financially can. If not, you guys could also just watch for episodes ad-free with the free subscription too. Anywho, I'm going to stop yapping now because I got a lot of things I got to get done today. And I got to down my non-alcoholic wine because it is 10 a.m. I was going to record this last night, but I passed out. So I'm going to chug my non-alcoholic wine and get on with my day. And I hope you guys do too. And if you had actual wine or anything else, take care of yourself. Drink water. That's really it. Okay. See you next time. Bye-bye.